नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णकृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे श्रीशशीनारायण आश्चर्यदेशकारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर ठीक है।
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणे परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So what did we discuss last time?
Fear and
How to overcome
false fears.
fear.
Is it real or is it illusion kind of fears? Most of the fears are not real. Spoke about how they actually play with the circumstances.
Yes, so the topic which we covered last time was based on Devahuti's point, right? That how to overcome this fear of material existence. And on that topic we covered this topic of fear, what are the different causes of our fear and how we can overcome that fear. How to overcome that fear? In nutshell, what were the main points to overcome that fear? By association of devotees, okay. Chanting, okay. Surrender, okay.
Build the dependency on Krishna.
Right. Building that dependency on Krishna. Okay, so the overall summary points were developing that faith. First of all, developing that faith in Krishna and developing that acceptance of Krishna's plan. So developing that faith in Krishna, acceptance of Krishna's plan, and then engaging ourselves with Krishna. And how we do that? By coming in association of devotees, by chanting the holy name, by rendering service. So that was the topic we discussed last time. And then today's topic is continuing from there, what we talked last time. And the next chapter of Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter number 25. So here, basically, the next chapter is when Devahuti approaches Kapila Dev. So the chapter is entitled as the glories of devotional service. So the last chapter was when Kardama Muni requests Kapil Dev that I want to leave home. Right, so that part was there, and Kapil Dev had told Kardama Muni that you will always remember me in your heart, and in that way you will be able to achieve the perfection. You will attain the spiritual world, and then my mother Devahuti also, she will also be relieved from all her anxiety, all her fear. So in this chapter, moving forward, Devahuti approaches Kapil Dev. One day she approaches Kapil Dev, and what she tells, that I have been disgusted with this material sense agitation. What is this material sense agitation? Again and again, desire to enjoy these material senses. So I have been fully disgusted with that, and all this entanglement with sense enjoyment is causing further ignorance. So she is approaching Kapil Dev with this full conviction that I have been disgusted with this sense enjoyment. And that is the way for us to make spiritual progress. When we come to that stage, that I have been disgusted with this sense enjoyment, this is causing so much misery, this is causing so much entanglement, then we can really make spiritual progress. Until we come to that stage, we may be doing little bhakti, right? We are doing little devotional service, but we are into two boats. One foot is in one boat, another foot is in another boat. What is these two boats? One boat of material enjoyment, second boat of spiritual life, spiritual progress. So we are trying to go parallelly in both routes. Oh, let me try to enjoy materially also, and let me try to progress spiritually also. So we can make very little progress in that way until slowly and slowly our realization is becoming stronger that there is no material enjoyment. Ultimately, it's misery only. So once somebody is fully disgusted with material enjoyment, that's where we can make fast spiritual progress. Tivrena bhakti. How many of us we really feel that we are disgusted with material enjoyment? Anybody here? You feel that you are disgusted with material enjoyment?
Sometimes, not always.
Sometime, right? Sometime you feel. Some moments come where you develop that vairagya in the heart. we talked about that point also a couple of weeks back. That kshanik vairagya comes in the heart. When some particular moment come in life and there is too much misery, right? Then you think, there's, अरे कुछ नहीं रखा, संसार में कुछ नहीं है. There is nothing here. But again we continue with our enjoyment in this material world. So Devahuti is saying, all this agitation because of the senses is causing so much ignorance in this world. And I am completely frustrated with this now. Now my question to you all, let's check our understanding first of all. Does ignorance leads to material enjoyment, or material enjoyment leads to ignorance?
Ignorance leads to material enjoyment.
So ignorance leads to material enjoyment because first of all we are in ignorance, right? We are identifying with this body. We think this body, this material world, we need to enjoy this. So because of our ignorance, we try to enjoy in this material world. But now here, Devahuti is saying, all this agitation because of material sense enjoyment, all these senses is causing so much agitation, which is causing the ignorance. Isn't it the other way? So why she is saying that? So the reason is, yes, in the beginning, our ignorance causes our bondage with material world. Our ignorance causes makes us to enjoy material world, sense enjoyment. And more we keep enjoying the material world, more we try to enjoy the material world, our senses, it further increases ignorance. How many type of ignorance is there? We have discussed few weeks back, and then last week Rajendra Prabhu also mentioned that. So how many type of ignorance is there? Five type of ignorance. Can somebody name those 5 type of ignorance? What was mentioned in Bhagavatam when we discussed? Tamas, andhatamas, moha, mahamoha, tamishra. Very good. So we got all 5. So tamas, then moha, mahamoha, tamishra, and andhatamishra. Okay, so these are the 5 type of ignorance. First type of ignorance is tamas, ignorance. That ignorance is considering this body to be ourselves, that we are this body. Because of that tamas, that ignorance, it leads to moha. What is that moha? Me and mine. That I am this body, things related to this body are mine. So we try to enjoy. And we start developing this attachment with the things related to this body. So tamas leads to moha. And then mahamoha. Mahamoha is extreme material enjoyment. Right? So that is madness after material enjoyment. So tamas, moha, mahamoha. And then what does happen? So now Devahuti is speaking from that point of view. That this agitation of senses, too much madness after material enjoyment, that's further causing my ignorance. So I'm disgusted with this. So what is the further ignorance which is caused by madness because of sense enjoyment? Tamishra. Tamishra means it further increase our anarthas, in the sense anger, envy, pride, lust. So that is Tamishra. And then Andhatamishra is the climax of this all ignorance, which is thinking that when this body is finished, everything is finished. This life is all in all, and we just need to enjoy in this material world. So this tamas, moha, mahamoha, tamishra, andhatamishra. So our ignorance in the beginning causes us to try to enjoy in this material world. And as we continue to try after material enjoyment, this madness after material enjoyment further causes our further bondage, ignorance. So until we are into this material enjoyment propensity, it's very difficult to make tangible spiritual progress. We may start in the process, but that conviction does not come. So we start from the level of Shraddha. It says everybody starts from the level of Shraddha. There has to be little faith to start in spiritual path. And then that Shraddha need to change into Nishtha. So what is the difference in Shraddha and Nishtha? Firm faith. It's called conviction. Okay? So Shraddha and Vishwas. Generally we use these two words, Shraddha, Vishwas. People think Shraddha, Vishwas, same thing. Interchangeably sometimes people use these two words. But there is a vast difference actually. Shraddha is our initial flickering, that faith. And Vishwas is conviction. Vishwas is like Nishtha. So that Shraddha need to transform into Nishtha. So until our anarthas are going on, our propensity for material enjoyment is so deep rooted, it's very difficult to progress further. So Devahuti is accepting that point that I have been troubled by this material enjoyment. Now she is speaking for all of our benefit. It's not really that she is really into madness after sense enjoyment. And so as I said, if somebody is fully disgusted, then they can become eager for spiritual advancement. So she approaches Kapila Dev. You are my only means of coming out of this darkest ignorance. You are my Sat Chakshu. You are my real eyes which can bring me out of this ignorance. So you are my Sat Chakshu. You are my only hope to bring me out of this material ignorance, material existence. I am taking your shelter as you are the only source of shelter. Who is Kapil Dev? He is the Supreme Lord who has appeared as her son. So she is saying, I am taking your shelter because you are the only source of shelter. Because in this world we try to take shelter of so many different places and so many different people. People may go to some leaders, some politicians for some help, take their shelter in some hour of need. But who is the real source of shelter? Krishna, he is the real source of shelter. Ultimately we need to take shelter of Krishna. So Sharanam Sharanyam. I am taking your shelter because you are the only source of shelter. And then she is saying you are the axe which can cut the tree of material existence. Because Lord, His holy name, His holy katha, they are the sharp axe to cut our knot of material existence. In Ramayana also, what does it says? Ram katha kali vitap kuthari. Who is telling this actually? Lord Shiva is telling to Parvati. Ram katha kali vitap kuthari. And she's telling now, listen to this Giriraj Kumari, that you should hear this with full rapt attention. So the Lord's discussion about the Supreme Lord, His katha, His pastimes, His holy name, they can cut down our material existence, the root of this material existence. So Devahuti is taking shelter of Kapila Dev, that I am inquiring from you how to get liberation, how to become free from this bondage of material world. And you please explain to me the relationship between the Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha means who is the enjoyer, and Prakriti means who is to be enjoyed. Okay, so Purusha and Prakriti. So who is Purusha and who is Prakriti?
Purusha is Krishna.
So Purusha is the Supreme Lord, he is the Purusha, he is the ultimate enjoyer. And Prakriti, everybody else is Prakriti. Right? We are all Prakriti in one sense. So Purusha is considered as a male and Prakriti is considered as a female. So if we see, actually only Krishna is Purusha and all other are Prakriti. We are also Prakriti. But we try to become Purusha. What does it mean? We try to become the enjoyer. Right? So she is telling, please explain to me the relationship between Purusha and Prakriti. And ultimately her main question is how I can become free from this material existence, how I can achieve liberation. She has not asked directly, first of all, how I can attain the lotus feet of the Lord, how I can attain prema for the Supreme Lord. She starts from the point how I can attain liberation. And then Kapila Dev answers. You want to hear the answer, how we can attain liberation? So he goes beyond that actually, not just answer how to attain liberation. So Kapila Dev answers, Kapila Dev says, the yoga system which relates to the Lord and the individual soul, which is the meant for ultimate benefit of the living entity and which causes detachment from all happiness and distress in the material world, I will explain that to you. Because she wanted to know about the process of liberation. So Kapila Devi is saying, I will explain to you the yoga system. Here he doesn't mention which particular yoga system to begin with. He says Adhyatmik Yoga. So the exact word used in the verse is Adhyatmik Yoga. So now it includes Ashtanga Yoga, it includes Jnana Yoga, it includes Bhakti Yoga. So Kapila Dev says, I will explain to you the yoga system which can ultimately cause the detachment from this material world, detachment from all this source of happiness and distress, and which will lead to liberation. So now people think, what is the difference between any type of yoga? Ultimately you follow any process of yoga, it is same thing. So if somebody is practicing Ashtanga Yoga or somebody is practicing Jnana Yoga, somebody is practicing Dhyana Yoga, I said, right? Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga includes Dhyana Yoga. So somebody is practicing Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and then finally Bhakti Yoga. Ultimately all these, they help to achieve liberation. But the difference is, all these other processes, the Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, they may help person ultimately to reach liberation. But Bhakti Yoga does not just help with achieving liberation. Liberation, what is liberation?
Moksha.
Yeah, so what is moksha? What is liberation?
Not taking birth again and again.
Okay, not taking birth again and again in this material world.
Go back to God.
Go back to Godhead. That may not really be.
Free from attachments.
Free from the bondage of material world. Free from becoming these attachments of happiness and distress. Somebody becoming free from these dualities of life, while within this material world also, is considered liberated. Okay? So liberation really means when somebody is free from the miseries of this material world. Somebody is not attached with the happiness or distress. Somebody is considered as liberated soul. Understand? Raju Prabhu? So liberation is when somebody is free from the bondage of this material existence. Means somebody is free from the dualities of this material life. Dualities in the sense of the attachment with happiness or distress. So when somebody becomes free from this, he is considered in a liberated stage. So karma yoga, dhyana yoga, jnana yoga can bring somebody to that stage, that they attain the stage of liberation. But bhakti yoga is something which help us to attach ourselves with the Supreme Lord, to develop that asakti, to develop that ruchi, to develop that bhava, and ultimately develop that prema towards the Supreme Lord. So only bhakti can help with that part. So if somebody has not developed that asakti and a ruchi towards the Supreme Lord, then where is the question of developing that bhava or prem? Asakti means you become attached. So asakti means you become attached to the object, and ruchi means now you want to serve that object. Understand? Asakti is now that okay, I am attached to Krishna. Ruchi means now I have developed a desire to serve Krishna. So here, Kapila Devi is saying, I will explain to you the yoga system which can cause detachment from all happiness and distress in this material world. So this yoga includes Jnana, Bhakti, Ashtanga Yoga. So further, Kapila Dev says, mind is the root cause of our attachment to this material world. Mind is the pivot point. So mind is the root cause. If mind is attached to the material modes, it causes bondage. And if mind is attached to the Supreme Lord, then it causes liberation. Okay? So mind is attached to the material world, the modes of material nature, it causes bondage. If mind is attached to the Supreme Lord, it may not be necessarily to the personal form of the Lord, but at least somebody is attached to the Brahman aspect of the Lord, Paramatma aspect of the Lord, or ultimately the personal form of the Lord. In any case, if mind becomes attached to the Lord, that causes liberation. So mind is the pivot. Now, when mind is cleansed of the impurities, what are the impurities? Our anarthas, yes, the lust, greed, all these things. So when mind is cleansed of our anarthas, which are produced due to our false ego, right? Anarthas are because of our false ego, aham mameti. And then when mind is cleansed of all these anarthas, then one transcends the material happiness and distress. Then mind becomes free from all these happiness and distress. And how does the mind reach that stage? So let's go sequence by sequence, okay? Pay attention. Mind is the cause of bondage. And that is because mind is attached to the material world. If mind become attached to the Lord, then it can cause liberation. Okay, so how does mind reach that stage? That where it becomes attached to the Supreme Lord. So Kapila Dev says the best process to attach the mind to the Supreme Lord is the process of bhakti. So originally he said I will explain to you all different yoga systems, but here now Kapila Dev is saying, yes, you want to attach the mind to the Supreme Lord, best process is bhakti. If you follow the process of bhakti, then mind can be quickly attached to the Supreme Lord. And mind attached to the Supreme Lord causes liberation. Best process is bhakti. So the next question, then how do we get bhakti? Following the sequence? Somebody has to write a summary as a step-by-step flowchart. Mind is bondage. If it attached to this, then it's liberation. And then if the mind is attached to Supreme Lord, then it causes liberation. How to attach the mind to Supreme Lord? It's bhakti. How do we get bhakti? So how do we get bhakti? Desire. Okay. How do we develop desire? Association. So this chapter is very important. Mark these verses in this chapter 25, text number 20 to 25. Okay, Canto 3, chapter 25, text number 20 to 25. These are the very, very important verses. So we are going to mainly focus today on these verses in our discussion here, trying to understand the flow of this system. So how do we get bhakti? Kapil Dev says, by the association of sadhus. When he is referring to sadhu, means devotees of the Lord. So when we associate with the devotees, that's how we can get bhakti. There is no other way to get bhakti. In 11th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, when there is a discussion between Uddhava and Lord Krishna, Uddhava is also asking question. At that time also Krishna explained to Uddhava that the only way to get bhakti is by the association of devotees. There is no other way that somebody can develop bhakti. Somebody can perform austerities for thousands and thousands of years. Somebody can go to the Himalayas and stand on one leg. Somebody can do a lot of charities. Somebody can do a lot of austerities. Somebody can follow a lot of rules and regulations. With all that also, somebody can do Swadhyaya also, can try to study the scriptures by himself also. All this process also, one cannot develop bhakti. The only way to develop bhakti is by the association of devotees. Okay, so Mata said desire, yes, but how do we get desire? Desire also only come when we associate with devotees. Right? Sadhu Sangha, Sarve Shastre Kaya, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoya. When we associate with the devotees, even for a moment, pure devotees of the Lord, that momentarily association can give us the perfection of life. Why? Because it can give that seed in our heart, that we develop that desire to engage in bhakti. So we say, the 9 steps of our progress in spiritual life starts from Shraddha. Adho Shraddha tata sadhu sangha. Tato bhajana kriya. So, with the Shraddha, we associate with devotees. But to get that Shraddha, also first, before that also there is sadhu sangha. So first the sadhus, the devotees are seeking to the people. They go after people. They think these people are suffering in this material world. Let's go to them and give them some association, right? Develop little Shraddha in their heart. So earlier, devotees are seeking out to the people, and once they develop that Shraddha, Adho Shraddha Tato Sadhu Sangha, then those people, they seek out to the devotees. That now we want to associate with devotees, because now that Shraddha has been installed in their heart. Now they want to go to the devotees. You understand the difference? See, earlier people may not have desire. They may not have that faith. When the devotees go, talk to them, they try to kind of bring them in program somehow, one way or other. They get that little Shraddha. And now because of that Shraddha, they themselves want to associate with devotees. So if we are not still at that stage, that we ourselves want to associate with devotees, it means the Shraddha has not started yet. So here, the verse which is mentioned in Bhagavatam, very, very important verse, chapter 3, text 25, text number 20. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmanah kavayo vidhu sa eva sadhushu krito moksha dwaram apavratam. So what does this verse says? Prasangam ajaram pasham. Actually this verse, Swaminarayan organization. So in Swaminarayan, this verse is considered, they consider this verse to be their most important verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. They consider this verse as the kind of a Bij mantra. Okay? If you ask any Swaminarayan person, actually I asked them. Okay, when last time I went to give class in Swaminarayan temple, I asked them, what verse you consider is the most important verse? So they quoted this verse. Any Swaminarayan Swami, you ask them, this is the most important verse. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmanah kaveyo vidhu. Sa eva sadhushu krito moksha dwaram apavratam. So what does this verse mean? If the attachment is towards the material things, prasangam, sangha means association. Prasanga means intimate association. Okay, so when there is intimate association with the material objects, material things, it leads to bondage. Ajaram pasham. Jara means old. So ajaram pasham means that bondage which doesn't get old, doesn't get weakened. So that's so much strong bondage is there in this material world. So attachment, intense attachment with the material object leads to so much bondage in this world. So that's what the verdict of all the learned people. Atmanah kavayo vidhu. Sa eva sadhushu krito. But if we put that same intense attachment with the devotees now, so if we switch our attachment from the material things now to devotees, sa eva sadhushu krito moksha dwaram apavratam. That same attachment leads the door for liberation. So one type of attachment causes bondage in this world. Another type of attachment opens the door of liberation. Okay, so this is very important verse actually to understand. Attachment will be there in this world. We cannot completely cut down attachment. Right? People have so many different attachments. Is that true?
Yes.
So they have attachment to this body. They have attachment to the things related to this body, their family members. They have attachment with so many other things, their social circle, their status. If nothing else, then they will develop attachment to cats and dogs. Right? People, they keep cats and dogs, and when there is nobody in their family, when they're dying, they just write their will all on the name of their cats and dogs. It's true. There are real instances are there, right? When they just transfer their whole will on the name of cat or dog. So people have there's so much of attachments. These attachments will be there. But we need to transfer these attachments to the real object of our attachment, which is the devotees of the Lord. So when we transfer that attachment to the devotees, then slowly we develop attachment for Krishna. So developing attachment for Krishna or to the devotees of Krishna, that is called Krishna consciousness. Because wherever our mind is attached, our consciousness flows towards that. In Bhagavad Gita, very important verse, 2nd chapter, where Krishna says, text number 62, I believe, Dhyayetu vishayan pumsa, sanghas teshopajayate, sanghat samjayate kama, kamat krodho vijayate. Right? When we keep thinking about certain thing, we develop attachment to that object. And when you develop attachment to that object, then you want to acquire that object. So same way here, wherever our material attachment is, our consciousness flows towards that. So if our attachment becomes towards the devotees and towards Krishna, then our consciousness continuously flows towards that. Then we remember Krishna. So here, what is Kapil Dev saying? We need to transfer that attachment. If that attachment becomes towards the devotee, that opens up the doors for liberation. And wherever our little attachment is, that is going to determine where our next destination will be. Bharat Maharaj, even though Bharat Maharaj, he gave up everything. He gave up all his kingdom. He came to the forest to practice spiritual life. But then he became attached to a deer. And because of that attachment with the deer, he was always thinking about that deer now. He slackened his devotional practice. He sometimes gave up his rules and regulation also while just thinking of that deer. Oh, is that deer safe? Where did he go? I hope no wild animal hunt him. So he started thinking like that. He became attached to that little deer. And one day when he was searching for that deer, he slipped from a mountain and he gave up his life. And at that time, because his consciousness was attached to the deer, or his mind was attached to the deer, and that's where his consciousness was flowing, he had to take the body of a deer in his next life. So that risk, because his attachment grew towards that deer, he had to take another 2 lives. One life as a deer, then second life as Jada Bharat. Before he finally got relief from this bondage. So our attachment causes bondage in this world. And then when we attach to the devotees, that leads to liberation. Even a dog, if he becomes attached to a devotee, he can also become liberated. How wonderful is that? And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, even a dog in the house of a devotee is very dear to me. Because if the dog is attached to the devotee, he also gets the ultimate benefit. And there is a story in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There was a devotee, Shivananda Sen, and he used to organize the yatra to Jagannath Puri from Mayapur during every year Rath Yatra time. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, he was residing in Jagannath Puri. So from Mayapur, all the devotees, they will go every year to Jagannath Puri to participate in Rath Yatra festival. So the Shivananda Sen, he is organizing this yatra, is taking all the devotees to go to Jagannath Puri. And as they were going, this one dog started following them. He is also just going with them. So Shivananda Sen, he started taking care of the dog. He will give him roti, give him little thing to eat. And this dog, because he was just continuously following them, he was become too attached to the devotees. He's just staying always with them. Ultimately, one day he disappeared. Disappeared in the sense, he went back to the spiritual world. He got liberated. So that is the point here. Attachment with the devotees opens up our door for liberation. And so we understand that, okay, yes, I need to develop attachment to the devotees, to the sadhus. Then what are the characteristics of a sadhu? Who to be considered a sadhu? It's not just a matter of dress, that somebody is wearing saffron clothes or big matted hair, that he is a sadhu. So what are the characteristics of a sadhu? So then Kapil Dev, in the next verse, he explains the characteristics of a sadhu. So next set of 3 verses, he's talking about their primary and secondary characteristics. What are the secondary characteristics? First he mentioned as the secondary characteristics. So secondary characteristics are Titikshavaha karunika suhrid sarvadehinam ajat shatravah shantah sadhava sadhu bhushana. Titikshava karunika suhrid sarvadehinam ajat shatravah shantah sadhava sadhu abhushana. So he mentioned 6 qualities. Okay. Karunika. Karunika means he is very merciful. He is merciful to all living entities. Not just human beings. Not just one particular species of life. But a real sadhu is merciful to everybody. In this world we see sometimes people are merciful towards one set of people. Right? They are merciful towards maybe their country people. Maybe they are merciful to only human beings. Maybe they are merciful towards one particular species. They are too attracted towards dogs. They are merciful towards dogs. So right, in India also they make big fuss about certain things. At the time of Diwali, they will make big advertisement. Oh, why you use firecrackers? The noise causes so much harm to the dogs and all. So they may make big agenda like that, but then the same people at the evening at their home, they are having all those roasted animal in their plate. They are eating the chicken, they are eating the beef or something, but they may make a big fuss about one particular thing. So they may show their little mercy towards one thing, but then they don't really have mercy in their heart because they are causing harm to other. So that's not mercy. Real mercy means when somebody is merciful to all the living entities. So the devotees of the Lord, they are merciful to everybody. Karunika. Their mercies, they want to bring them at the feet of Krishna. And the second quality, titikshava. Titikshava means tolerant. They are very tolerant. So sometimes devotees go to different people to talk about Krishna, to speak about Krishna, to tell them please chant the holy name. And in that way they may be many times insulted also, they may be harassed also, but they are very tolerant. They may have to suffer many different problems. They have to face many different problems also whilst giving this Krishna consciousness. Like Haridas Thakur, he was beaten in 22 marketplaces, right? He was caned in 22 marketplaces, but he tolerated. He was not wishing for their harm. He was still saying, my Lord, please forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. They are in ignorance. So that is the quality of a devotee. He is very tolerant. His purpose is because he wants to give Krishna to others. He is very karunika. And in giving Krishna to others, he has to tolerate many different atrocities also. So, titikshava. And then next, suhrida sarva dehina. Because he is the real well-wisher of everybody. Of all the living entities. He is a dear friend of all the living entities. In Uddhava Gita also, Uddhava asked this one question to Krishna. Who is our suhrida? Who is our dear friend? Krishna says, I am the suhrid for everybody. I am the dear friend of everybody. Or the devotee is the spiritual master. He is the suhrid for the living entity. Because they are trying to give the ultimate benefit to the people. So Krishna, the devotees, the spiritual master, they are our real friend. They are our real well-wisher. And then next quality, ajata shatrava. A devotee, he does not consider anybody as his enemy. Even though other people may start considering him as enemy, they may start seeing him as an enemy. Right? People can get irritated from somebody, oh, why he is always telling me, chant, 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 why he is always telling me, come to the program, come to the program. They may develop that little oppression towards that person, that devotee. Some people may start considering somebody as their enemy, but a devotee does not consider anybody as their enemy. Ajata Shatravaha, Shanta, because he is very peaceful. He knows ultimately everything belongs to Krishna and everything is happening as per the plan of Krishna. Even though there is something, sometime bad happening, he accepts that as Krishna's plan. We may not like what is happening, but it is happening for our good. Just having that acceptance at least. So devotee is naturally very peaceful. And then the next quality, sadhava sadhu abhushana. What does it really mean? Sadhu abhushana. For a devotee, the other devotees are like his ornament. Okay, so ornament is not like, okay, if you are wearing a gold necklace or something. For a devotee, for a sadhu, the real ornament is the other sadhus. So sadhava sadhu abhushana. He wants to stay with other devotees. They are his real ornament. He wants to be in the association of other devotees. So developing that attachment to other devotees. That is his quality. So here Krishna, Kapila Dev is mentioning about the secondary qualities. Not as a primary characteristic of a sadhu. Because these are all external still. He is very merciful, okay. He is very peaceful, okay. He doesn't consider anybody as his enemy, okay. He is very tolerant, okay, fine. All these things are okay. But then what is the real quality of a sadhu? Because there may be many people who may have these qualities, but they still have nothing to do with Krishna. So what is the real primary quality of being a sadhu, to be considered as a sadhu? So then Krishna, Kapil Dev in the next verse he mentions, Mai ananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dhradam mat krite tyakta karmanas tyakta swajanah bandhava. So such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service. Mai ananyena bhavena. He engages with full determination in my devotional service. He is a staunch devotee. So mai ananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dhradam. With full determination he is engaging in bhakti. And what else he does? Mat krite tyaktva karmanas. For me he gives up all sort of his other activities. For the sake of Lord he renounces all his other activities. He renounces swajana. Swajana means family members. Right? He gives up his attachment towards the family members. Bandhava. He gives up his attachment to all the friendly acquaintances within this world. So three things. What does such a sadhu gives up? He gives up all his other activities. He does not remain attached to his other material activities. Second, he does not remain attached with the swajana, family members. Third one, he does not remain attached with the social circle, friendly acquaintances, bandhava. So, now we may think, but we are not at that stage. We are not able to give up our work, our job. We are not able to give up our family. We are not able to give up our social circle in the sense our things. But that is the quality of a real sadhu. That ultimately one need to detach from these things. Now it does not mean we do not feel our obligation towards these things, or we don't feel our gratefulness towards these. Okay, so understand the difference. One should be always feeling that gratitude towards a family member, towards the parents, that oh, my parents, they did so much for me, so I feel that gratitude towards them. I have that sense of deep gratitude for them. All our other, anybody who did anything for us, having that feeling of gratitude towards them. But understanding one point, that ultimately when we engage in service of Krishna, when we serve Krishna, we satisfy everybody. We can become freed from all the debts. Okay, while serving Krishna, like the example in Bhagavatam comes that when somebody waters the tree, the roots of the tree, the whole tree is nourished. So, the purpose of mentioning this verse, that when somebody waters the root of the tree, the whole tree is nourished, does not mean to run away from our responsibilities or to give up that sense of gratitude towards others. So one should still have that sense of gratitude, but one does not have to become entangled with everything. So the sadhu is those secondary characteristics first, and then the primary characteristic is with full determination engaging in the service of the Lord, engaging in the process of bhakti, and his detachment decreases from all these things. So one is not constantly thinking about progressing in this material world in the sense I want to make big in this world. I want to climb the corporate ladder. Right? Because what is the quality mentioned? He gives up all his other considerations. Because he knows that making big in this material world is just bondage in this material world. Whatever is going to happen, whatever is going to come to me with Krishna's mercy, that is going to come without my over endeavoring. So, giving up friendly acquaintances, the bandhavas, what does it mean? Giving up the wrong association. So we say satsang. Satsang means Sat means which is true in nature. So satsang means the association of devotees of the Lord, association of those people who are connected with the eternal truth. Satsang. And asatsang means wrong association. Association of those people who are attached to the asat, the temporary things of this world. So asat sang tyago ei vaishnava achar. If somebody really considers himself as a Vaishnava, as a devotee, means to giving up the wrong association, giving up the asat association. So giving up our association or the bandhavas means giving up wrong association. Asat sangha. Asat sangha tyag. Then the next verse Kapil Dev says, after describing these characteristics, Mad ashraya kathamrishta shravanti kathayanti cha tapanti vividhastapa naitan madgatah chetasah. Again, very important verse. So what they do? Okay, so we know these are the characteristics of the sadhu, of the devotees. So what does these devotees do? Mad ashraya kathamrishta shravanti kathayanti cha. So taking my shelter, mad ashraya, they engage constantly in what activities? Shravanti kathayanti cha. They constantly engage in hearing about me or speaking about me. Shravanti kathayanti cha. So either they are hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord or they are telling the glories of the Supreme Lord to others. So hearing means it includes chanting also. So they are chanting the holy name, they are hearing Krishna Katha, or they are giving the message of Krishna to others. And in that way, when somebody's mind is fully engaged in me, what happens to them? Tapanti vividhastapa naitan madgatah chetasa. Then they do not suffer from these material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastime and activities. Now, why we feel suffering or why we feel pain in this material world is because our mind is constantly running towards these things. More you think of a problem, more you suffer because of that problem. Right? More you keep thinking about, oh, I have back pain, I have back pain, I have back pain. More you feel back pain. If you remove that thought from your mind, if you put your mind on something else, then you don't feel about that back pain. So more you continuously keep thinking about certain problem, more you are troubled by that problem. Here, Kapil Dev is saying because they are constantly thinking about me, they are constantly engaged in me, they are freed from all the miseries. They don't have any time to think about these material problems, material miseries. So, after speaking about this, so first Kapil Dev said mind is the root cause. Let's revisit, okay? Recap. Mind is the pivot. Mind is the root cause. Because mind is attached to all these temporary things of the world, it causes bondage. If mind is attached to the Supreme Lord, it causes liberation. Then how to engage the mind, attach the mind to the Supreme Lord? Bhakti is the process. How to get bhakti? By association of devotees. Right? When somebody develops that attachment to the devotees, then he can get bhakti. Okay, then who are devotees? Then Kapil Muni tells the symptoms of a devotee. And after telling that, now Kapil Dev says, oh my mother, oh virtuous lady, these are the qualities of the great devotees who are free from all attachment. So you must seek attachment to such holy men. So you must seek attachment with these devotees. So now there is a difference in word association and attachment. Association is one thing. Yes, we can think, okay, I am associating with devotees. I go to the program. I sit there. I hear Krishna Katha. So that is association. Here, it's not about just having association. It's more than association. It's about connecting with those devotees, developing relationship with those devotees, developing attachment with the devotees. So when we come together, right, as a family, it's not just association in the sense once a week we come together for 1 hour, 2 hours. It's developing a relationship with the devotees. So we should have that desire. I want to develop the relationship with these devotees. I want to develop attachment with these devotees. See, otherwise we can think association, okay, I'm getting association here, I'm getting association somewhere else. Today I can come here, tomorrow I can go somewhere else. It's the same thing, I am having association of devotees. Not like that. It means developing that relationship among devotees. So that is where many people make this mistake. Understanding the difference in just simple association or developing that relationship with the devotees. Sometimes we consider our personal comfort, right? Out of our personal comfort, we give up one program and we want to go to another program. Oh, here if I have to come, I have to go 15-minute drive. There is now another program started which is very next to my house, within 2 minutes of my house. So I can start going there. Or sometime I can come here, sometime I can go there. What happened with that type of mentality? We are not developing that relationship. And on the contrary, actually we may indirectly start committing offenses also. We may cause problem among others' relationship also. So because of our comfort, we started thinking, okay, I can maybe go there. But now, for now you started thinking that, okay, this is convenience for me. But tomorrow, that person maybe who started a program there in an apartment or somebody, he may move to a different place. He may buy a house and move somewhere else. Or you may buy a house and you may move somewhere else. Now that program may become too far for you. Now you will start thinking, oh, now I have to seek out another thing, another association. And we keep going like that. In that way, we never develop that relationship with the devotees, that attachment with the devotees because of our personal selfish considerations. Now, another very important point to understand is, yes, it's not that you are bound to something. Okay, that you have to stick with one thing. If somebody feels one particular association of devotees, I am not getting that benefit. I am not getting that progress in bhakti. I am not learning enough. This is not beneficial for my spiritual progress. One is free to choose another, seek out another association. But there is a process. One should follow those little Vaishnava etiquettes. What is that? It's better to approach the authority. I am giving you a real example. Okay, from our temple, these instances happen, these things happen. So let's say if somebody is going to one Bhakti Vriksha program and they feel this program is not suitable for me, in the sense I am not getting much from this program, I am not learning much, I am not growing much by staying in this association. They can desire to go to a different program where they feel we have better connection there, we can learn better there, but in that way they should approach the temple authorities and convey their grievances to them. Oh, here we are not feeling much connection, we want to go that place. And then it's the temple authority whose responsibility is to talk to both these leaders, convey to them, and then make that transition for that devotee. So there is always a systematic process. But because we don't understand these, we don't follow these basic Vaishnava etiquette, we just jump from one place to another place, one thing to another thing, and in that way we directly, indirectly commit offenses and we cause strain in others' relationship also. So one should be very careful with this. It's not just association. Okay, make this statement bold into your memory. This is not about just association. It's about developing relationship among devotees. It's developing attachment with devotees. That's what Kapil Dev is mentioning very strongly here. Attach with those devotees. They can cut down your bondage with this material world. How? How the devotees cut down that bondage? Because in the association of devotees, when we come together with devotees, close to the devotees, that's where when we engage in the process of bhajana kriya. Adho shraddha tata sadhu sangha tato bhajana kriya. And because of bhajana kriya, then happens anartha nivritti. Okay? Anartha nivritti is to becoming free from all those unwanted things in our heart. And then one more verse we'll cover. That is another very important verse. So when we attach with devotees, when we associate with devotees, then what happens? Right? Because Kapil Dev said attach with devotees, and these are the qualities of the devotees. So what happens when we attach with the devotees? And the next verse, 3:25-25. Very important verse. Satam prasanga mama virya samvido Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katah tajjoshanat asava apavarga vartamani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishati. Okay, so listen carefully. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. So earlier Kapila mentioned prasangam ajaram pasham. Attachment with the material thing caused bondage. Here satam prasangan. Attachment with the devotees. Satam means the devotees of the Lord. So satam prasangam mama virya samvido. In association, with intense association with the devotees, when somebody is engaged in hearing about my divine activities, mama virya samvido, bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. So it becomes like the nectar for their heart and for their ears. Hrit means heart, karna means ears, rasayana katha. So this katha becomes nectar for their heart and ears, and it removes all the bondage. It frees from the bondage. There is pavarga and apavarga. So that attachment to the devotees lead to apavarga. Pavarga, what is pavarga? Anybody remembers? We have covered that, right? Pavarga. Pa means parishram. Pa pena. Pa vyarth. Pa bha bhai. Ma mrityu. So that is pavarga. So in all the Devanagari lines, right, the alphabets, they are called different vargas. So pa varga, ta varga, whatever is the starting letter of that line, that's how it's called. So this pa varga means pa bha ma. That represents the nature of this material world. Pa means parishram, hard labor. Everybody does so much hard labor in this material world, and because of so much hard labor they become so tired, and sometimes the person is sleeping, there is a foam coming out of their mouth, right? The spit coming out of their mouth. Sometimes the pillow is wet with so much of sweat or so much of the fena coming from the mouth. So pa va vyarth. Ultimately, no matter how much you accumulate in this world, everything is going to be waste. Nothing is going to go with you. And this material existence leads to so much of bhaya, fear, bhaya. And ultimately what's going to happen? Ma mrityu. Everybody will be finished. So that is the nature of this material world. It's true with everybody. So pa bha ma, that is pavarga. But when somebody attaches with the devotees, starts to engage in the process of bhakti, they achieve to apavarga. Jat taj yoshanat asav apavarga vartamani. They achieve liberation. Now coming back to the point. Kapil Dev earlier said, I will tell you Adhyatma Yoga, which includes Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, everything, which leads to liberation. So here it says it leads to liberation. But it goes beyond that. Bhakti goes beyond that. Right? Bhakti is not just about liberation, that okay, I want to become free from the material miseries. But bhakti goes beyond that. What happens? It helps with it. Shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati. So one does not just go to the stage of anartha nivritti, where all these material desires and all these things are relieved, but one develops that rati, attachment to the Supreme Lord. He develops that shraddha. Shraddha means that nishtha. Here shraddha actually refers to nishtha, that one goes beyond that stage of anartha nivritti and come to the stage of nishtha, that conviction, which helps him developing that rati, asakti and bhava. So that is the result of satam prasangam mama virya samvido. When somebody hears in the intense association of devotees. So that's why we speak so much about association, importance of association. Why association is so important? Because to progress in bhakti, there is no other way. As we say in Kali Yuga, there is no other way, no other way, no other way than the chanting of holy name. Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Eva Kevalam. Same way, Satam Prasangam, Stam Prasangam, Stam Prasangam. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way than developing that attachment with the devotees. That having that intense association with the devotees, developing that relationship with the devotees. So, coming to our weekly Bhakti Vriksha program is good, but ultimately, until we start coming to the bigger association for the bigger programs in the temple as festivals, we come together and render some service. Again, it's very difficult to develop attachment to the Lord. That connection is very much important to have some personal service. This service could be a very little service. You can just do maybe 10-minute service, but that's your dedicated service. That, oh, this is my service. Even though it's 10 minutes, I'm doing this service regularly. Then when you develop that connection with Krishna through one particular service, then we progress towards Krishna. So, coming to the temple for festival programs, for celebration, coming together and doing maybe some personal service to Krishna. As a group, we can render some service. We can go as a group and help with feast cooking. Okay, Sunday feast cooking maybe once in 2 months on some special festival occasions. So we come together and do that service. We can go together and maybe try to distribute books. We can pick once a month, one day, that okay, this day everybody, all of us together will go for half an hour and try to distribute books. Okay, we will go to some park and we will distribute Bhagavad Gita. So these are the type of activities when devotees come together and they render some service together in association of each other, that makes their heart softer. It helps in developing the relationship also, and it makes our connection with Krishna. Okay, everybody is understanding the point, the importance of this particular activity, Satam Prasangam. So here, I will finish it here in 5 minutes. So Kapil Dev described the process of bhakti, how to become free from this bondage, how to develop bhakti. Then Devahuti, she asked another question. Okay, I understand. Now, earlier she was asking about liberation, how I can become free. Now she wants to ask about bhakti. Okay, I just don't want to get freedom from this bondage of material happiness and distress, but I want to develop that rati, that bhava towards the Supreme Lord. So what process of bhakti is suitable for me? Bhakti is also of different type. There is a Raganuga Bhakti, there is a Vaidhi Bhakti, Ragatmika Bhakti. So like that there are different bhaktis. One is spontaneous bhakti. Spontaneous bhakti means all of a sudden you have that particular mood of service, that particular bhava of service. That is Raganuga Bhakti. So Devahuti is asking what type of bhakti is suitable for me. So Kapila Deva said, best is Ragatmika Bhakti, as a spontaneous bhakti. Somebody serving Krishna in that particular rasa, that particular bhava, as fatherly, motherly affection, or as a friend, or as a servant, or as a lover of Krishna. So that is Ragatmika Bhakti. But how one come to the stage of Ragatmika Bhakti, it's also not just as a matter of imitation. That I imitate as Yashoda, or I imitate as Nanda Maharaj, I imitate as Arjuna. So one doesn't come to that stage of Ragatmika Bhakti as a matter of imitation. The best process is Vaidhi Bhakti. Okay, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. What is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti means? Vaidhi comes from the word Vidhi. Okay, Vidhi, as per a particular rules, regulation, particular process, particular Vidhi, you engage in Bhakti. So that's from where it starts, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. And what we do, that's what we do, right? That is called Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Okay, 2 hours, you chant the holy name, you hear Krishna Katha, you render some service. So systematically in a process, you follow that process. You follow that vidhi. And in that way, one develops that attachment to the devotee and to the Krishna. So by following the practice of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, we progress in spiritual life. We develop that relationship with Krishna. Now, we have to be true to our words. That is the principle of truthfulness. We need to be truthful towards our words, what we have taken towards Krishna. We have to be truthful to our words, what we speak to the devotees. Okay, Krishna, I'm going to chant 16 rounds every day. So be true to your words. Krishna, I'm going to do chanting in the morning. Be true to your words. Krishna, I'm going to come to the temple every day or once a week. Be true to your words. So being truthful. Truthful towards Krishna, truthful towards the spiritual master or towards our senior Vaishnavas, our mentor, whoever it could be, Siksha Guru. So being true to our words towards Krishna and the Vaishnavas. And in that way, that is the way to make progress in spiritual life. Okay, so I will stop here. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. If anybody has any questions or discussions.
Devahuti already served
Her husband, Kardama Muni. Okay.
So already she had association. So again she is asking question about material.
Right. So, see, she is taking that humble position, asking Kapila Dev that there is so much of attachment with this material world. Aham mameti. That is what she has mentioned to Kardama Muni also earlier. That I was with you all these years, but I really did not take your association. Association being as a spiritualist. I took your association as my husband, but I really did not take your association as a spiritualist. So I still have that so much of material affection, and I am disgusted with that. That's how she is coming to Kapil Dev now. That now I am disgusted with all this material agitation. I want to become free from this bondage. You are my only shelter, please tell me. And the purpose of Kapil Dev's appearance was to give this knowledge of Sankhya. Making Devahuti as a medium. As Krishna gives this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, making Arjuna as a medium, Kapil Dev is giving this knowledge of this process of Bhakti Yoga, this whole Sankhya Yoga, Sankhya philosophy, making Devahuti as a medium. Okay?
Child, then he did all the
So,
lecture or?
Okay, good question. So here, in case of all the children of Kardama and Devahuti, it's not that they were born as we give birth to babies. Right? They come as a child and then they grow slowly, they become young. When they were born, they immediately grew to a youth age. Okay, so all the daughters, because they were born, and Brahma appeared and said, okay, give your daughters in charity, in marriage to all the sages. And then Kapila Dev is born and Kardama Muni approached Kapil Dev, I want to renounce. So he immediately grew to that stage. The same, like Ghatotkacha, I was going to give the example of Shukdev Goswami. Okay, Shukdev Goswami, who is the son of Vyasadeva. Shukdev Goswami stayed in the womb of Vyasadev's wife. But as he took birth, he came out of the womb of Vyasadev's wife. How old was he? To what stage he acquired? 16 years. And he ran to the forest. Right? He said, I don't want to get entangled in this world. He ran away. So he came out and immediately assumed the stage of as a Kishore Avastha. 16-year-old. And that is the stage, that is the case for Kapil Dev also. Okay, anything else? So can we do a 2-minute recap as a bullet points flowchart? The root cause of bondage. What is the root cause of bondage? Okay, material attachment, but the mind, right? Mind is the pivot. Mind is the root cause of bondage. Mind attached to the material things leads to bondage. Mind attached to the Supreme Lord leads to liberation. Then, how to attach the mind to the Supreme Lord? Process of bhakti. How to get bhakti? Association of devotees. Who are the devotees? Who is a sadhu? Then those qualities which mentioned, Tatikshoha Karunika, Suhrit Sarva Bhutanam, Ajata Shatrava Shanta Sadhva Sadhu Abhushana. And then he is always engaged in my devotional service with full determination. He gives up the attachment to all the material activities towards his Suhrita and Bandhavas. Like those are the qualities of a sadhu. And then what happens with association of sadhus? What is the result of associating with sadhus? Opens the door of liberation. Yes, it cuts down all the material attachments, all the anartha nivritti. So basically that is anartha nivritti. So it causes anartha nivritti. It cuts down all the attachment. It opens the door of liberation and it goes beyond that. What is that? Shraddha, Ratir, Bhaktir, Anukrimishyati. It helps in developing that nishtha, that rati towards the Lord, that developing that bhava towards the Supreme Lord. Okay, so ultimate summary is one need to develop that attachment to the devotees, not simply physical proximity with the devotees as association, but developing that relationship among devotees. And actually there is another connection which we can see from Nectar of Instruction. Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami also says that one verse, that what are the loving exchanges among the devotees. The 6 loving exchanges among the devotees which help with developing that relationship, that attachment among the devotees. Right. So, serving the devotees, like serving them prasadam, receiving prasadam from them, inquiring from them and receiving knowledge from them, giving gifts and receiving gifts. So these are the mutual exchanges among the devotees. That's how they build a relationship. They build attachment towards each other. Okay, so thank you very much. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.